We humans are beautiful and complex creatures, and when two humans intermingle to form a relationship, there is a lot of joy as well as a lot of friction. Welcome to episode 10 of the One Life Theory podcast. My name is Rajiv. Today we're going to talk about the color red, which stands for relationships. And the word that I use for this aspect of life, which is the third aspect, is social. Just to recap, the first aspect was self, the second aspect was service. And today we're going to talk about the third aspect of life, which is social. Social basically deals with humans, and as I said, humans are phenomenal creatures, but always when two humans interact, no two humans are alike that everything fits like a jigsaw puzzle. It doesn't matter what kind of relationship it is. There's always some friction points, and that's what makes us all human. So, today we're going to talk about three kinds of relationships. The first one being romantic, because pretty much a lot of activity that all of us as adults do is to make sure that we get a great partner. The second is around parenting and parents, and that's another very important aspect of relationship. And the third is pretty much everyone, family, friends, and the extended community. But before that, I want to start with a few pointers on relationships. I'm going to go with the top three pointers I think that are applicable to any and all of relationships at some level and all your social life, right? First one, people are essential for anything and everything. You could be an introvert, you could be an extrovert. It doesn't matter. I have been on both sides of the spectrum. I think I started off very young, very shy kid. And I think over the last many years, specifically the last 3, 4 years after all this whole one life theory and stuff, I have become far more of an extrovert, maybe in the last, I would say, 5, 7 years. And so I know both ends of the spectrum. But what I think you cannot escape is for you to interact in any aspect of life, for you to be successful. I think humans are going to be part and parcel of life. So you have to make sure that the new reality sort of sinks in, irrespective of your background. That's point one. The second point is relationships don't fail. They actually move from one phase to another. It doesn't matter whether it's you as a parent managing a very small kid to a sudden teenage daughter or a son, to let's say you get a divorce like what I had, to handling a person as a spouse versus just handling as a co-parent or a friend, or even handling parents when they grow older. They also have their own different things that they bring up. So all of this, and I'm sure you've had different people in your life that you have different points in time maybe been very close, today or not, but I would say relationships don't really fail, they just mature to take on a different form. And that brings me to the third point, which is I think life's too short to not forgive, forget, and move on and take on these different new tones. Because, as I said, and I have this very specific view of humanity that I don't think any human is bad or good in totality. It's just that they all have, and we all have our own funny aspects. So I would say, even if today you feel that, hey, you were wronged or something was not right with a particular person, but you were close to, I don't think it is fair to just completely cut the relationship off. I think you could sort of talk it out or make sure that at least, maybe there's an arm's length. But I don't think anyone can just suddenly become an enemy after being so close to someone, especially if they are in the inner circle of relationships. So I would say that's my overarching view on relationships. One of the key points in relationships is I think you need a very strong foundation of yourself to be able to perform well in relationships. Because if you're not really confident or if you're not in control of your mind, it's very easy for relationships to go for a complete toss. So I would say you have to start working on the mind for you to really be strong on relationships. And if you apply the overall pattern of the ECE framework on any relationships, specifically romantic ones, you start usually with an exploration phase and then you commit, and then you experience, and sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't work out. So you come back, and relationships is one area where the ECE framework really works wonderfully. This particular episode, I'm not going to go in depth into any of the three sub aspects of social, but I will sort of touch upon each of the three. The first one is your romantic partner, your spouse. It could be the different sex, it could be the same sex, it could be polyamory. It's all a choice that you take. What obviously this covers is more in-depth relationships and not casual relationships, because once you go in-depth into a relationship, you come into a relationship which is romantic. I think there are different facets of the romantic relationship that you get into, and I'm going to talk about a concept that I've developed called the house of love. You can ask, what is this guy who's sort of lived a relationship for 10, 15 years and now is in a very different phase, has gotten a divorce, going to talk about relationships. But one of the things is, it's not just success that you can talk about something. It's also quote unquote a different experience. What I myself said, there's nothing called a failure in a relationship, is actually I think you get a lot different, more perspective. I have been in love, I am currently in love, so I think there's a lot for me to talk about romantic relationships for sure. The second relationship is that with parents, and that you have with your kids more so, right? Because as you grow older, you choose maybe to become a parent, you choose not to become a parent. But if you do choose to become a parent, I think that relationship is a beautiful one too. The first time that I ever experienced absolutely true love, where there was no expectation, was when I got my kid in my hands, right? And today she's going to be 8 years old, my daughter. And it makes you a very different person if you go through that experience, and it just helps you grow as a kid. To with respect to dealing with your parents, I think the relationship is very different, but that's also a very important part, especially if you're younger in your adulthood. The third aspect is friends and an extended community, right? And it could be an extended family, it could be people that you're friends with, your acquaintance, your colleagues. And friendship, of course, has different levels of friendship. Some which are much deeper friendships, some which are a lot more peripheral. Thanks to social media, I think today you can just wish someone a happy birthday and think that you're friends. But I would say friendship is far more around one-on-one interactions. It's around the time you spend with maybe a closer gang. And as time goes by, you also have a lot of churn in friendships. But this is all normal, right? And as long as you are in touch and you make sure that you are in touch, and one of the regrets that I told you in one of the first episodes is not being in touch with friends and extended family. So as long as you're making sure that you are in touch with friends in whichever form or manner, I think you're doing a fair job on this aspect. So these are the three different aspects of social and relationships. And I can tell you one thing from my personal experience: it is possible to win on all these aspects with time, and you will make your mistakes. And I have seen myself perform from absolutely nothing, or where I thought I was just not suited, and I was not a very emotional guy, or I was a shy introverted guy. But today I think I have a reasonable enough community to be able to reach out and sort of interact with selflessly, right? And that's sort of literally the north star on a relationship, that you're able to actually have spend time for nothing other than just spending time with a particular person. And even if you're an introvert, I think you can try it and you will succeed. More on this in much later episodes of the One Life Theory podcast. Till tomorrow, where I'm going to talk about the fourth aspect. See you then.